What is up, my fellow Ojamans? I'm coming back with another deck profile. This is a deck profile I've kind of wanted to build a while ago, and then I got most of the core, and then kind of abandoned it for other decks. And then I looked at another deck core that I kind of stripped, and realized they worked really well together. So this is gonna be my Time Lord deck profile. This is something I threw together just for more casual play, or for when I'm going to locals and just kind of want to goof off and not really, be competitive. It's pretty fun. Let's jump into the monster lineup. So we're going to start with the 3-time Maiden. It's basically a Rhoda, special summons itself, and then tributes itself to add a Time Lord with 0 attack and 0 defense from your deck to your hand. And then it can banish itself from the graveyard to special summon a Time Lord from your deck as well. And then we got the 3 Mikion. What this does is all of the Time Lords have the ability where if they can't be destroyed by battle or card effect, and you take no battle damage, you and your opponent neither take battle damage from battle, and then if they battle, at the end of the battle phase, they do different things. So Mikion is one of the most important ones. What it does is it immediately halves your opponent's life points. So you can do, 4K damage right then, which is really nice. We have the 3 Lazion. This one, when your opponent draws for the first time in that turn, they take 1,000 damage. And then if it battles, it shuffles all of your opponent's graveyard back into the deck, which against some of the more graveyard heavy decks, it can just completely disrupt it. I was running this at 3 just because if you can get it off before the Orcust people are really able to start banishing from the graveyard, you basically shuffle everything back into the deck and they have to start over. Or any of the zombie players, or anything that's really graveyard reliant, which is why I run him at 3. And that actually takes care of our 3 ofs. We got 2 Raffion. And what he does is he burns your opponent equal to the attack of the monster that he battled. So I've actually gotten game by using Time Maiden to special Mikion, and then normal Raffion, and then battled a 4K monster, went to main phase 2, went chain 1, chain 2, cut their life points in half to 4K, burned them for 4K, and got game. One thing I did forget to mention is the Time Lords. If you have no monsters on the field, then you can normal summon them without tributing. So it's not a special summon. So things that stop special summons can't really stop them, because they're not special summoning unless you're banishing the Time Maiden from the graveyard to special. And then this is our big boy. This is the only one with attack and defense. This is Sandion. He has 4K attack and defense. So you can't summon him off of Time Maiden or search him. You have to hard draw him. And your opponent takes no battle damage from battle involving him, but they do take 2,000 burn damage at the end of the battle phase. And he's just there to get over the tough monsters. You get him out, and he's pretty big, so he just attacks over stuff. And then your opponent takes 2K. I only run him at 2 because he's not really necessary. We're focusing more on the burn aspect of the deck, but he is there for problem monsters, and it's pretty nice. And if your opponent uses something like Effect Veiler or Infinite Impermanence on him, and his effect is negated, you basically just normal summoned a 4K beater that they can now take damage from. We're running 2 Camion, and what he does is he shuffles back 1 card on the field and burns for 500. So he's spot removal. So cards that, can't be destroyed or whatever. It does pretty well. Alright, so we're running 2 Medion. And what Medion does is, what he does is when he battles, he bounces all other monsters on the field to the hand and then burns your opponent for 300 for each one that was sent back to the hand. So again, he can clear a field if you need it. If your opponent did a bunch of special summoning and went through all of their resources and they don't have a way to stop Medion, then you basically put everything back in their hand or extra deck or wherever it goes once it leaves the field, and they have to start over. And if they don't have any more resources, you can basically get game from there. And the burn is also pretty nice too. And for our last Time Lord, we're running 1 Zaphion. And Zaphion, when it battles, it shuffles all of the spells and traps your opponent controls into their deck. So it's really in here for the back row heavy decks, but there's not a ton of those right now, so I'm only running her at 1. But some of these can be, switched out for others if you need to switch up ratios. That actually rounds up our monster line up. And the card that kind of makes the deck really work is running 3 of the Mystic Mine. Again, if your opponent has more monsters than you do, they can attack or activate monster effects. So it's really good because at most you'll have 3 Time Lords out, but that's pretty rare. Usually 2 is kind of the maximum, and most decks right now will just spit out boards of like 4 to 6 monsters. So it works really well. And then I'm running 3 advanced draw. You have to tribute a face-up level 8 or higher monster, and then draw 2 cards, which all of the Time Lords are level 10. So, we have the cost. And some of the cards that we're going to get to require Time Lords to be in the graveyard, because it basically shuffles them back to do different things. So this just helps get Time Lords in the graveyard, and then gets you more cards. And another thing I think I forgot to mention is Time Lords have another ability. They have quite a few. The turn after they're summoned, on the standby phase, they shuffle themselves back into the deck. So you summon one, use its ability, on your next turn you draw, then they activate to shuffle themselves back into the deck, and then you shuffle and then you go from there. Our last spell card is Demise of the Land. I'm only running 1, mostly because they can't be destroyed by battle or card effect, and you take no battle damage, so a lot of the time you're not going to absolutely need Mystic Mine, but I do have a few ways of searching it just to kind of give you a little bit of extra insurance. So just 1 of those. And then for our trap cards, I'm running 1 Empty Machine, 1 Infinite Machine, and 1 Infinite Light. So these are the ones that require Time Lords in the graveyard. Empty Machine is going to be the first one you activate, and you can discard a level 10 monster and draw 1 card. So again, it's just trying to fix your hand. And then what you can do is you shuffle back 1 of your Time Lords from your graveyard into the deck, and you can actually set Infinite Machine straight from your deck or your hand. And then you activate Infinite Machine by sending Empty Machine to the graveyard. And Infinite Machine lets you special summon a Time Lord on your main phase once per turn. And then you can shuffle back a Time Lord from your graveyard to set Infinite Light. And then activate Infinite Light by sending Infinite Machine to the graveyard. And Infinite Light lets you special summon a Time Lord from your hand, your graveyard, and your deck. So you have 3 out. They don't shuffle themselves back in, and this card cannot be targeted with card effects. So you're basically able to get your 3 best Time Lords out, and your opponent has a really hard time of getting rid of them. They basically have to kaiju them. So only running one of each because the deck is already pretty tight as is. And since we're focusing more on the burn aspect, I put more, burn cards in. And this is just kind of a nice tech, a little bit of hand fixing, extra special summon, which is nice. And then, if you can resolve infinite light, it's a complete blowout. Then we are running 3 Secret Barrel, 3 Secret Blast, 3 Just Desserts, and then 2 Ojama Trio, which is pretty standard for most chain burn decks. Secret Barrel, 200 for each card on the field and in your opponent's hand. Secret Blast, 300 for every card on the field. Just Desserts, 500 for each monster your opponent controls. And then Ojama Trio is what you activate in your last chain link to put 3 monsters on the field, just to make those burn cards do more damage. And then the last card is just 1 Metaverse. Again, we don't absolutely need Mystic Mine, but it's nice to get it out pretty quick. And that actually rounds up the deck. I don't have an extra deck. I was fooling around with like Super Poly targets and just citing 3 copies of Super Poly, mostly because I don't have any of the rank 10s that would do well, like Rail Cannon Dora or any of those other cards that you can rank into and push for game. So that's kind of what I was running. I also had some Cherries targets, and was just running that. But that is my Time Lord deck. Let me know what you guys think. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and we'll keep growing this channel. See you guys later.